Preparing for the Developing Solutions from Microsoft Azure exam? Stop scrolling and watch this first. In this video, I'll show you the most important Developing Solutions from Microsoft Azure exam questions and topics that can help you pass quickly. If you want to pass the Developing Solutions from Microsoft Azure exam on your first attempt, you're in the right place. This certification is offered by Microsoft, and it focuses on Azure development tools, cloud storage, compute solutions, security, APIs, monitoring, and application integration. In this video, we'll cover high-impact developing solutions for Microsoft Azure exam questions and preparation tips to help you clear the exam faster. Also, if you want the complete Developing Solutions for Microsoft Azure Practice Questions PDF, you can download it from Study for Exam, the link in the description. Question number 1. A developer needs to build a serverless application that executes code in response to HTTP requests and automatically scales based on demand. Which Azure service should be used? A. Azure Virtual Machines. B. Azure App Service. C. Azure Functions. D. Azure Kubernetes Service. Correct answer. C. Azure Functions. Explanation. Azure Functions is a serverless compute service that enables execution of code without managing infrastructure. It automatically scales depending on incoming requests, making it highly efficient. It supports multiple triggers, such as HTTP, timers, and queues. Billing is based on execution time only. This makes it cost-effective for event-driven workloads. It is ideal for microservices and automation tasks. Question number 2. A developer wants to deploy a web application with minimal infrastructure management and built-in CI/CD integration. Which Azure service should be used? A. Azure Virtual Machines. B. Azure App Service. C. Azure Functions. D. Azure Batch. Correct answer. B. Azure App Service. Explanation. Azure App Service is a fully managed platform for hosting web applications. It provides built-in integration with CI/CD tools like GitHub and Azure DevOps. Developers do not need to manage servers or operating systems. It supports multiple languages and frameworks. It includes features like auto-scaling and authentication. It simplifies application deployment and management. Question number 3. A developer needs to store large amounts of unstructured data such as images and videos. Which Azure service should be used? A. Azure SQL Database. B. Azure Blob Storage. C. Azure Table Storage. D. Azure Queue Storage. Correct answer, B. Azure Blob Storage. Explanation. Azure Blob Storage is designed for storing unstructured data, such as images, videos, and backups. It provides high scalability and durability. It offers different storage tiers like Hot, Cool, and Archive for cost optimization. It integrates easily with other Azure services. It ensures high availability and redundancy. Quick exam tip. One important thing about the Developing Solutions for Microsoft Azure exam is that many questions are scenario-based and test real development knowledge. So make sure you clearly understand topics like Azure Functions, App Services, Storage Solutions, Security with Key Vault, API Management, Monitoring and Troubleshooting, Event-Driven Architecture. These topics appear frequently in the exam. Question number 4. A globally distributed application requires low latency access to data across multiple regions. Which Azure service should be used? A. Azure SQL Database. B. Azure Cosmos DB. C. Azure Table Storage. D. Azure Files. Correct answer, B. Azure Cosmos DB. Explanation. Azure Cosmos DB is a globally distributed NoSQL database service. It ensures low latency data access worldwide. It supports multiple APIs such as SQL, MongoDB, and Cassandra. It provides automatic scaling and replication. It offers configurable consistency levels. It is ideal for modern, high-performance applications. Question number 5. A developer wants to decouple application components using a messaging system. Which Azure service should be used? A. Azure Logic Apps. B. Azure Queue Storage. C. Azure Monitor. D. Azure Policy. Correct answer. B. Azure Queue Storage. Explanation. Azure Queue Storage enables asynchronous communication between application components. It allows messages to be stored and processed later. This improves scalability and reliability. It helps decouple services in distributed systems. It is simple and cost-effective. It is commonly used in microservices architectures. Question number 6. Which service should you use to store unstructured data such as images and videos? A. Azure Table Storage. B. Azure Blob Storage. C. Azure Queue Storage. D. Azure SQL Database. Correct answer, B. Azure Blob Storage. Explanation. Azure Blob Storage is designed for storing large amounts of unstructured data, like images, videos, and documents. It provides high scalability and durability. Blobs can be accessed via HTTP/HTTPS globally. It supports different tiers like Hot, Cool, and Archive for cost optimization. It is widely used for media storage and backups. Question number 7. Which authentication method is recommended for secure access to Azure resources without storing credentials? A. Shared access signature. B. Connection strings. C. Managed identity. D. API keys. Correct answer, C. Managed identity. Explanation. Managed identity allows Azure services to authenticate securely without storing credentials in code. Azure automatically handles identity management. It integrates with Azure Active Directory for secure access. This reduces security risks such as credential leakage. It is the best practice for accessing services like Key Vault and storage. Question number 8. Which Azure service is used for message-based communication between applications? A. Azure Monitor. B. Azure Service Bus. C. Azure Logic Apps. D. Azure DevOps. Correct answer, B. Azure Service Bus. Explanation. Azure Service Bus is a messaging service used for communication between distributed applications. It supports queues and topics for reliable message delivery. It ensures messages are not lost even during failures. It is ideal for decoupling services in microservices architecture. It also supports FIFO and dead letter queues. Question number 9. Which tool is used to manage secrets, keys, and certificates securely? A. Azure Monitor. B. Azure Key Vault. C. Azure Storage. D. Azure DevTest Labs. Correct answer, B. Azure Key Vault. Explanation. Azure Key Vault securely stores sensitive information, such as API keys, passwords, and certificates. It integrates with Azure AD for authentication. Developers can retrieve secrets without exposing them in code. It improves security and compliance. It is essential for protecting application credentials. Question number 10. What is the purpose of Azure Queue Storage? A. Store structured data. B. Store files. C. Manage message queues. D. Host applications. Correct answer, C. Manage message queues. Explanation. Azure Queue Storage is used to store messages for asynchronous processing. It helps decouple application components. Messages can be processed later by background services. It ensures reliable communication between systems. It is simple and cost-effective for basic messaging needs. Question number 11. Which service is used to automate workflows without coding? A. Azure Logic Apps. B. Azure Functions. C. Azure DevOps. D. Azure CLI. Correct answer, A. Azure Logic Apps. Explanation. Azure Logic Apps allows you to create workflows using a visual designer. It connects different services and automates tasks. No coding is required, making it easy for non-developers. It integrates with hundreds of connectors. It is commonly used for business process automation. Question number 12. Which Azure service supports containerized applications? A. Azure VM. B. Azure Kubernetes Service, AKS. C. Azure Functions. D. Azure Storage. Correct answer, B. Azure Kubernetes Service, AKS. Explanation: AKS is a managed Kubernetes service for deploying and managing containers. It simplifies container orchestration. It supports scaling, load balancing, and automation. Developers can run microservices efficiently. It reduces the complexity of managing Kubernetes clusters. Question number 13. Which tool is used for CI/CD pipelines in Azure? A. Azure Monitor. B. Azure DevOps. C. Azure Policy. D. Azure Advisor. Correct answer, B. Azure DevOps. Explanation: Azure DevOps provides tools for building, testing, and deploying applications. It supports CI/CD pipelines. Developers can automate builds and deployments. It integrates with GitHub and other repositories. It improves development speed and collaboration. Question number 14. Which service provides real-time event streaming? A. Azure Event Grid. B. Azure Event Hubs. C. Azure Logic Apps. D. Azure Queue. Correct answer, B. Azure Event Hubs. Explanation: Azure Event Hubs is designed for high-throughput event streaming. It can handle millions of events per second. It is used for telemetry, logs, and IoT data. It integrates with big data services. It is ideal for real-time analytics pipelines. Question number 15. Which Azure feature helps enforce compliance rules? A. Azure Monitor. B. Azure Policy. C. Azure Backup. D. Azure Dev Test Labs. Correct answer, B. Azure Policy. Explanation: Azure Policy is used to enforce rules and compliance across resources. It ensures resources follow organizational standards. Policies can restrict locations, sizes, or configurations. It helps maintain governance and security. It is essential for enterprise environments. Question number 16. You are developing an Azure function that processes messages from Azure Service Bus. You need to ensure messages are processed exactly once. What should you configure? A. Enable duplicate detection. B. Use sessions. C. Enable dead lettering. D. Use queue partitioning. Correct answer, A. Enable duplicate detection. Explanation: duplicate detection ensures that repeated messages with the same message ID are ignored within a configured time window. This helps achieve exactly once processing semantics. It prevents duplicate processing caused by retries or failures. While sessions ensure ordering, they do not prevent duplicates. This feature is critical in financial or transactional systems. Question number 17. You need to securely store connection strings and access them in your app. What should you use? A. Azure App Configuration. B. Azure Key Vault with Managed Identity. C. Environment Variables. D. Azure Blob Storage. Correct answer, B. Azure Key Vault with Managed Identity. Explanation: Azure Key Vault provides secure storage for secrets like connection strings. Managed Identity allows apps to access Key Vault without credentials in code. This ensures high security and eliminates secret leakage risk. Environment variables are less secure and harder to manage at scale. This approach follows Azure security best practices. Question number 18. You are building a microservices architecture. Which service ensures reliable communication with guaranteed delivery? A. Azure Event Grid. B. Azure Service Bus. C. Azure Queue Storage. D. Azure Notification Hubs. Correct answer, B. Azure Service Bus. Explanation: Azure Service Bus provides reliable messaging with features like transactions, dead letter queues, and FIFO. It guarantees delivery even in failure scenarios. It is ideal for enterprise-level microservices. Event Grid is event-based, not guaranteed delivery. Queue storage is simpler, but lacks advanced reliability features. Question number 19. You need to reduce latency for global users accessing static content. Which solution should you use? A. Azure Load Balancer. B. Azure CDN. C. Azure Traffic Manager. D. Azure Front Door. Correct answer, B. Azure CDN. Explanation: Azure CDN caches static content at edge locations worldwide. This reduces latency by serving content closer to users. It improves performance and reduces load on origin servers. Traffic Manager routes traffic but doesn't cache content. CDN is ideal for images, videos, and static assets. Question number 20. You want to implement event-driven architecture with near real-time response. Which service should you use? A. Azure Event Grid. B. Azure Service Bus. C. Azure Queue Storage. D. Azure Logic Apps. Correct answer, A. Azure Event Grid. Explanation: Azure Event Grid enables event-driven architecture with push-based delivery. It reacts instantly to events from Azure services. It supports low latency and high scalability. It is ideal for serverless workflows. Unlike Service Bus, it is optimized for event routing, not message queuing. If you want to practice more exam questions like these, you can download the complete Developing Solutions for Microsoft Azure Practice Questions PDF. The full PDF includes updated exam questions, detailed explanations, real exam scenarios, practice tests, full Azure developer coverage. The download link is available in the description. If this video helped you understand the Developing Solutions for Microsoft Azure exam, make sure to like this video, comment how many questions you answered correctly, subscribe for more certification exam preparation videos. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your Developing Solutions for Microsoft Azure certification.